Good evening. Today is Wednesday, December 9th, 2020, and welcome to What's Happening Dracut. I'm John Zimini, your host for this evening, and we are happy to have you here with us tonight as we present our new talk show magazine, What's Happening Dracut. We are coming to you live from our awesome studios here at DATV, Dracut Access Television. I'm the host for tonight. I have been a Dracut resident for 23 or more years, and a community activist, public servant, and political junkie for more than 58 years. I'm a former three-term selectman for the Board of Selectmen here in Dracut, and I've also served on the Finance Committee and the Cable Advisory Committee. I'm a retired public servant, serving 37 years in public life, and I hope to present a good presentation to you tonight. Keep the conversation interesting, fast-paced, and stimulating.
You always do, John.
First of all, I'm going to introduce my co-host. Today we have Phil Thibault, who is a local professional architect. He brings a mountain of experience in municipal government, having served on many town boards. He has also been a candidate for many offices here in Dracut, so he knows the political landscape like no other. He's had his head bashed in by the powers to be very frequently. Phil, tell us a little bit more about your experiences here in Dracut.
Well, currently I sit on the Permanent Building Committee in Northern Middlesex Council of Governments, which is a regional planning organization that does a lot of infrastructure and transportation work for the Merrimack Valley. So not only do I have the information for Dracut, but also the surrounding communities.
And that's good. You have a strong background in architecture, and you have a strong background in a lot of municipal governments activity, and it's a good thing to have, especially having you on our show.
Yeah.
And we do say it's our show because
yes, thank you very much.
And our other co-host here this evening is Gordy Scott. He's a computer operations engineer, and he has been a community activist here in town for many years, in particular interest in the town budget as well as school affairs. He has been an active youth and high school coach and also serves on many town committees. Gordy, welcome to the show again.
Thank
Our
you.
resident man. He does a lot of man on the street stuff, and tell us a little bit more about what you like to see in Dracut.
Sure. Well, thanks, John. This is our third show, so I'm excited that we've been on 3 times, and I moved to town in 1999. I've been active in the community as far as sports, the school. And just wanted to take, as you know, I took an interest in some of the school activities that were happening, the overrides and things like that. So I've had a little political pushback from speaking out about those things, but that's why I'm here on the show, to bring a different point of view to the show and maybe change some people's minds out there about what they're thinking about what's going on in Dracut.
You also served on the rec board, right?
Yes, I did for 9 years, and it was pretty good. There's a lot of things that people don't know about that the recreation board. A lot of good things. As you know, the skateboard park, we brought that back online.
Sure.
A lot of things with basketball, baseball, football. So all the sports in town. There's a lot of planning that happens behind the scenes that people don't see, and it was kind of interesting to see that aspect of the recreation department.
Great. So What's Happening Dracut is a talk show magazine that we're bringing interesting information to people across our
try to keep them notified of all the stuff that's going on.
Keep notified of what's going on and give some stimulating conversation and discussion and debate about what's happening here in Dracut and around the region. We are interested in making sure that voters, taxpayers, rent payers, businessmen are all both informed, both politically and civically. You can join us on our Facebook page, live streaming on our internet via dracuttelevision.org. I got it right, right, Phil?
There you go.
And on Comcast Channel 8, which many of you will be watching tonight. You can also join in the conversation by calling us in. But before we get started with our regular show, because we do have a couple of guests, but before we get started with that, we're going to go to our resident weatherman and see what's happening, and maybe, just maybe, he'll give us a little
Sean, bring us some warm weather, I'm hoping.
All right, Sean, take it away.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me again tonight. Here's a look at a recap, actually, of the storm that we saw on Saturday. A lot of science inside the storm, of course. And one thing to know, too, is this storm had to make its own cold air. We really didn't have anything in place. So a lot of the cold air kind of had to be brought down from Canada into the storm. One thing we did look at too, this is a velocity scan, or a radar scan you could call it, on Saturday. And what you see here is gravity waves. And what that is actually, you can kind of see where you see the darker blue, and then the lighter blue, and then the darker blue. That's the gravity waves, they call them. And what was happening with this storm too is, at the beginning of the week, we thought the storm would be going towards the west, the low pressure system, and if that was the case, we'd be getting a lot of rain out of it. However, the storm started to go out to sea, and as it did, storm started to strengthen, and as it did that, of course, a lot of the cold air started to come down from Canada, as we thought, and a lot of the weather models did also. However, though, they did have a lot of problems trying to predict how much snowfall we would see out of it. A lot of the computer models start to go up and up, and all the way up to 6 to 12 inches of snow. And for us back at home, we didn't really see that. And one thing to note is this, again, is a radar scan. And you start to see the green inside there. And what's happening, that's called a warm nose. So a lot of the warm air kind of got pulled into the system. And inside the mid-level, of course, right where Worcester is, right at that elevation, is where a lot of the radar would pick up snow. And as it did go into Worcester, it changed right over to rain. Back at home, though, it is showing snow. And it was for a few, and then it changed right back over to rain. And another way you could look at it too is this is what we call the rain-snow line. And Merrimack Valley, of course, is right on that line. 495 is actually built up in elevation. So it's always going to be a battle zone for us, and especially as the winter gets warmer every year, it's another tricky part that we're going to have to deal with for the upcoming winter. Another thing too, this was another radar scan. This, you could clearly see where the rain-snow line was on this one. Those dark pink and dark purple, that is snowfall rates of up to 2 inches an hour. So at that time, very heavy snow coming down. No reports of thunder snow with this line, of course, but I think there was another place in Massachusetts that did report thunder snow. Again, here are the snowfall totals. Central Mass picking up the jackpot, just over 12 inches of snow. And then back at home, Lowell got 3.1 inches, Drake at 2.7. And we kind of did think that that would be the battle zone, again, just outside of the city of Boston and Metro West. That is kind of where we thought there would be a chance to see lower snowfall totals, if not higher. And again, a lot of precip too. Some places picking just over 2 inches of rain out of this. So again, a messy storm, but we're going to have more of them as we head through this winter. So stay tuned for our winter outlook. That's going to be coming out very soon, and we'll be releasing that probably within the next few weeks. So stay tuned for that. Here is a look at the forecast for tonight, though. It's going to drop down to about 28 degrees. There'll be some clouds out there, so it won't drop down too much, and that should help us as we head through the evening hours, of course. Your Thursdays can be very nice, partly sunny, kind of warmer than it was today, of course, 44 degrees for a high temp. Again, a few passing clouds, not that bad either, 5 to 10 miles an hour for a high temp. Thursday night, we're going to drop it down to about 36, becoming clear, so temps are going to drop, especially in southern Merrimack Valley, going into parts of southern New Hampshire. Here is a look at your exclusive 8-day forecast. Thursday, again, very nice, 44 degrees, partly sunny. Friday, we'll get some more sun back in. As we start to head through the weekend, though, the chances are increasing for some rain. Not predicting any snow right now for the weekend. However, next week, especially by next Wednesday, we could be talking about some snow. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. And that's it. Back to you guys in the studio.
Well, thank you, Sean. Thank you for
Getting
that.
up to 50, John, this weekend. Getting up to 50.
Getting up to 50. Maybe we'll get rid of some of this snow and ice, right? Well, tonight, we have two very special guests with us.
I'm
Gordy.
excited.
Someone that and it's our first guest, by the way. Our first guest under the new show. So we have Richard Silvio. Richard is a Dracut High School junior who has a huge passion for national politics and is very articulate and intelligent young man who is not afraid to speak his mind. Right? Which is a good thing when you have a talk show. And Richard is extremely knowledgeable about national affairs and knows how to debate. And then we have Joey Bigos. Joey Bigos is a Dracut High School grad and is now currently a freshman at Southern New Hampshire University, where he is studying finance and international business. Joey is very impassioned about national politics. He is very well versed in the national politics as well. He is moved by the thought that politics affect many aspects of people's lives, and he's right on. They are the creators and producers and hosts of Dracut's newest political talk show that is aimed at sparking interest among Dracut's younger generation, and boy, have they ever, from what we have heard, right, Gordy?
Yes, unbelievable.
So welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks
you
for having
Good
us.
evening, John. Good evening, Gordy. It's great to be here and talk about what's going on.
Yeah. Richard, how you doing? Good?
I'm doing fine. It's
ahead.
been a little cold recently, but I don't know. Things are moving along. What can you say? We have the holidays coming up, so that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
So, Joe, you're in college.
I am,
And you're
yes.
working remotely. We know that Rich is working remotely some days and some days.
Right.
But you're all remote?
Yes, a full 100% remote.
So that's got to really stink because colleges have been experienced more than just the classroom.
It really is, and I find it hard for kids my age, kids Richard's age, and especially younger kids to learn like that. It defeat. You can't learn. Online, you have to learn in a classroom. It's just, simply, that's how I learn better. I find myself, struggling at times, procrastination or getting distracted so easily, because there's not a teacher in front of me. There's a computer screen. You know what I mean?
Plus, you get tired just looking at that screen all the
do,
time.
and
I know when I watch TV, I end up, it's the same thing, falling asleep.
That blue light too. I hear blue light is
Yeah, it's
that can get you
different,
really
a lot different.
tired.
Yes.
So what was the inspiration for your show?
Well, the show actually was Joey's idea, so I think it's only fair, if he
So
kind of starts us off here.
I think the inspiration here was, you see, the thing about me is I was never politically involved in high school. I knew how I felt. I was quiet about it. No one knew who I supported. No one knew what my views were. And, seeing everything that's gone on, seeing how, there's so much, fake media, there's so much, so many people spreading lies, for me it's like that needs to stop. People need to know the truth. And I think that's one of the inspirations behind why I wanted to start a show. And then once I realized that, it was like, who's the right person to start this show? And there was one person who had that same motivation that I have, and he's sitting right next to me.
Well, thank you, Joe. The funny part too was I never knew we were actually introduced between a mutual friend. So before our first episode, we never sat down in person or even or
Like
spoke.
we would see each other in the hallways when I was at senior.
Right, and I said, "Who the hell is this
Yeah,
guy?"
and I was like, "Who's this kid?" But then we were so much similar with our politics. And,
Absolutely.
So, Rich, tell me, let's lay it right on the table here, right? Because that's what we do here, right?
Absolutely.
When we're talking politics, we lay it right on the table.
That's the only way to
so
do
where
it.
do you fall politically?
Honestly, obviously we're all Republicans here, but I do consider
Well, wait a
myself.
minute, whoa. We're not all Republicans, right? Some of us are deemed unenrolled
Oh,
in Massachusetts.
my apologies.
There you go.
My
Yeah,
apologies. I think we all lean a little more conservative here. So, I do consider myself more conservative than Joey. Not only, fiscally, which a lot of people are fiscally conservative and socially liberal.
Yeah.
I don't buy into that hogwash. I am very socially conservative. Obviously, I believe in equality. Everybody does.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely consider myself pretty far right on the scale.
So Joey, you're a little bit moderate of a conservative, right?
Yes.
So would you consider yourself more of a libertarian, or?
See, the funny thing is when I first tried to figure out where I leaned, I took a quiz online and it gave me 73% conservative and 56% libertarian. So I think I lean more towards the moderate conservatism.
Yep.
But I view more on the right than I would the left, or have them.
So Richard, when you talk about being conservative socially,
Yes.
Are you someone who agrees with gay marriage?
And this is something that I've thought about things like this for a long time. I think when it comes down to things like gay marriage, ultimately we're in America, so it is your right to do what you want.
Right.
And as long as you're not affecting me and you're not shoving it in my face and vice versa, I don't really see a problem with you doing what you want to do.
So, Joey, I'm assuming you are
and
more liberal on that as well.
100%. And the reason why, and I support same-sex marriage, in all forms. And it's just the fact that, as a country, it's 2020, people, if a guy wants to marry a guy, let him do what he loves. If he loves that person, he should be able to marry the person he loves. But I feel there's a misconception with people thinking that all conservatives are against the LGBT community. And that's not true, though.
No, exactly. I fall probably closer to where you are. I'm conservative. I've always been a Democrat until 5-6 years ago when I left the party, because the party actually left me, because the Democratic Party is not what it was 40 years ago when my dad introduced me into it, and the John F. Kennedy Democrats that were there. Because John F. Kennedy would be rolling over in his grave at some of the things that AOC and those other morons.
Not his relatives, too. Not even to say Joe Kennedy would just, it's a disgrace.
Absolutely. But so as far as gay marriage is concerned, I have some very, very dear friends who are very strong, interested and very much into the LGBTQ community, and I have some dear friends that are gay, and I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Absolutely.
And like you said, Joe, do what you want to do. Doesn't affect my life, as long as it doesn't affect my life or my pocketbook. That's basically what it is.
Exactly.
And I'm a financial type of a conservative. In fact, John McDonough on City Life calls me cheap, Mr. Cheapo. But he likes eating the donuts when I get them every week. Gordy, you have any questions you want to ask?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of these two.
Yeah.
How couldn't you be?
I know. But I just found it interesting. I thought you guys were friends prior to you guys starting the show, so that was pretty interesting that they weren't. Well, not personal, like very close friends. So when I watch your show, you guys have a great chemistry together, and you kind of bounce well off each other. What do you think creates that chemistry between you two?
I think part of it is, finding conservative youths, especially in the town of Dracut in Massachusetts, is so hard. When you do meet them, you have to, you have to get along. But I don't know. I just think because we agree on so many things.
Yeah, it is. It's simply, we have so many, and there's things we don't agree about. But
Absolutely.
when we don't agree, you don't see us criticizing each other,
Right.
swearing at each other. That goes to show we are having disagreements within our own party.
Absolutely.
And that's a big problem today. You can't have a conversation with a Democrat without them swearing at you, without them calling you a racist.
And call us nerds. But I believe, Joe, you were part of debate club too in high school.
No, I actually wasn't.
You weren't really.
And the reason why I wasn't is actually a good friend of mine, a neighbor, was actually, I think he was the president of the debate club.
Yeah.
But I wasn't very fond of some of the people in the debate club. So, and plus, I really didn't have a voice.
Right.
So
that's because I was going to say, at least for me, debate club really taught me, how to get along with others and how to, instead of criticizing people and scrutinizing them for their opinions, question where their beliefs come from and why they feel the way they do, instead of, yelling at them, because you get nothing done that way.
The other thing is a follow-up question is, you guys, I think, are the antithesis of a lot of young people today, because a lot of young people tend to be liberal because that's what the teachers, I think, teach.
Absolutely.
And it's wrong.
So
It's
what are you guys getting from feedback from your peers or from other students?
We've experienced. I've experienced some negative comments on Facebook posts. I know Richard's experienced some things people said he said that he's never said.
If you wouldn't mind me quoting one person.
Sure, go right ahead.
One person said to us, or I believe it was to Joey, that during our last show, I said that I quoted commie bastards, that I said that phrase, which, obviously isn't true.
Right.
So, it's been a lot of things like that. People, at least, he graduated, but I'm still in the high school.
Well, something, you may not have said that, but in my view, it wouldn't be a bad thing to say.
It wouldn't be a bad thing to say at all. No. But
because I'm not a big fan of communism. By the way, folks, you can join us by calling in and asking these two young men any question you might have for them at 978-975-4243 at any time you'd like to join us in. So come on in and give us a call. But as far as the whole thing with people lashing out at you and trying, I know that you have some serious pushback from some of the people around you on social media. How's that going? Have you had any of that?
We do tend to get quite a few emails, after the show, because we do like, people to be able to voice their opinions to us. At least, email-wise, we haven't. It really hasn't been that crazy. We have people who point out inaccuracies about the show, or things they disagree with, and we'll have some conversations back and forth. But I've been really surprised with how well that's been.
Yeah,
that's been going. Well. Yeah. That really does blow me away.
We were able to have someone pointed out that what they thought of Richard's view of this whole social when he went on about socialism and communism. This person thought that some of the things he said were over-exaggerated and were incorrect.
And we had a good talk about it. We had a nice back and forth.
We had a very respectful conversation with this individual over the email, and he even acknowledged himself. Thank you for being able to respect my opinion.
Right.
And having
It's all about respect.
Well, that is it. Like you talked about that earlier. When people talk about debating you, they want to be your enemy, or because they don't respect your view, and then right away you're the enemy. You're racist, or you're homophobic, or you're xenophobic, or whatever it is, right, Gordy?
Right.
I mean, sometimes when you don't have an argument to come back with, they have to come back with that name.
Absolutely,
calling,
and it's awful. It's a sin. It's.
What's your view, and I know this is a touchy subject, but what's your view on BLM, Black Lives Matters? And do you know the distinction between what the words mean and what the organization is?
I'll start on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so Black Lives Matter. Okay, lots of people think if you don't support the whole movement or anything, you're a racist. No, I support the fact that black lives matter. I don't support the violence that it's bringing to the country. I don't support the amount of money that's being funded to their organization that's just going away. It's not even to help black lives. Okay, the movement's a disgrace, and it needs to be condemned by President-elect Biden, and it's not being condemned.
Correct.
Okay, it's causing so much hatred. Black people's businesses are being burned to the ground by this movement, and this is supposed to be their movement, but they're destroying their businesses. So the whole it's hypocritical and it's wrong.
Right.
If it was peaceful, that would be a different story.
Exactly. So, Richard, what is the basis of Black Lives Matter, the organization? Do you know how it began?
I'm not particularly, knowledgeable on the beginnings of the organization, but I do know that the co-founder came out a few years ago and said that she was a trained Marxist.
There you go.
And so were many of the people in the organization. Like Joey said, obviously, the phrase, obviously Black Lives Matter, yes, that's true, obviously.
Right.
We all matter.
Right.
But like Joey said, the organization, they haven't done a single thing for black families or the black community. And people will say, the ones burning down the cities are not, part of the organization. So if you're going to say that, you have to say the same thing about police officers.
Yeah, exactly.
They're pulling the complete reverse, and whenever one police officer does something bad,
they're all bad.
But we're not expected to do the same.
Have you guys attended a Black Lives Matter rally at all?
No.
I haven't, but I have seen the counter protests because, John, you and me have done quite a few of the police. So yeah, I've seen some of their.
Gordy and I actually attended 2 of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
We were there to support the concept or the words Black Lives Matter because it does. But we're not supporting Black Lives Matter organization, the national organization, which, as you already alluded to, funnels money to a lot of bad things and not anything good. They funded all the bricks and fire bombs and the frozen water bottles that were being thrown at people during the protests. And by the way, you notice that the protests are all gone?
Yep. Absolutely. I think that was the whole plan.
Amazing,
once Biden gets in, that was all going to disappear anyways. It's ridiculous.
But it's amazing that you watched in the presidential debates how they kept claiming that Trump had never condemned white supremacy. I mean, he's condemned it on numerous occasions. But where was Biden on Antifa in the riots? There was a video. Kamala Harris was on a show with, I forget the guy's name, but there's a video of her actually saying that the riots needed to continue and that these movements needed to continue. Her saying it.
That's it doesn't matter where you fall on the political scale. Riots and violence solve nothing.
So, Richard, as a little bit of an aside, just to change the subject for a minute before we end this segment because we're coming to the end, you're also involved with our show on quite a regular basis. You've been doing a couple of little reports here and there, and we hope that you continue to do that. I know that your schedule gets a little tough, but we hope that you continue to do that. But you began a little thing for us, for our show, over the holiday. What is it?
So the Christmas decorations.
Right.
Yes. So the whole idea is that, for the month of December, we want to go around and find houses that are, especially with how bad things have been going in 2020, from Christmas cheer. We want to see houses that are completely, decked out in Christmas decorations, and we're hoping that they would enter themselves in a contest, and whoever wins, will get some prizes and just help spread Christmas cheer, cheer people up.
show. I've already went out and given out some of those invites to come and join us, and we've got a couple of people that have written back, and you're going to be going out and getting some pictures and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
And we'll give in the next show, we'll be giving them some awards.
Absolutely.
Right? So before we close out, Joey, give us a little bit of what your next show is going to be and when you air and what have you.
So our next show is this upcoming Friday, and we actually have the pleasure of having former Senate running mate Kevin O'Connor coming on our show.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm excited to have him on. He seems like a really, really down-to-earth guy, and we have some questions for him regarding big issues going on, and that's see what he has to say about that.
He'll be
good.
joining via Zoom.
So
yes, by the way.
when is your show aired? Do you have the times?
So I believe, off the top of my head, forgive me, I believe it's Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
Okay, but they can
I
check
believe.
the DATV
Absolutely, and we
listings.
have our YouTube channel,
And a
the
YouTube,
Bigos
yeah.
Silvio Show.
And
we
you
usually
also
upload
have a
the
Facebook page.
Yes, we also have a Facebook page. We usually upload a day after or so once we film an episode, so people can always go there and check us out and see what we have to say.
So, folks, that's Joey Bigos and Richard Silvio.
Upcoming stars.
Upcoming
Absolutely.
rising stars here at DATV, and you're going to hear a lot of these guys about these guys in the future on politics. But so that's the end of that segment. And when we come back, we're going to switch into our next topics of Dracut, everything Dracut, and everything national. But first, we have
Our special report.
breaking news.
Breaking news. So if we can play that video, Nate, if you can put that up. This is a report for the past few weeks. There have been multiple incidents of Dracut residents reporting that someone is starting their trash barrels on fire over the past several days. Residents should stay alert and be on the lookout. The Dracut Police Department is now offering an online crime reporting tool. This new online system allows residents to submit reports for non-emergency crimes or incidents immediately. Reports can be submitted 24 hours a day, and a copy of approved report will be provided by email for free. This new system is available at dracutpolice.org. The Dracut Police are investigating a bank robbery that occurred at 10:44 a.m. on November 30th. Officers responded to Santander Bank at 1985 Lakeview Ave for a report of an unarmed bank robbery. Upon arrival, police launched an initial investigation and learned that the male suspect passed a note to a bank employee and subsequently fled with an undisclosed amount of cash. He allegedly fled on foot behind the bank and toward the area of Myron and Alder Streets to a light blue or silver Hyundai SUV. Anyone who believes they know more about this incident is asked to call the Dracut Police at 978-957-2123. On December 1st, a Dracut homeowner was injured when the deck he was working on collapsed. From this footage obtained from Fox 25 News, you can see the collapsed deck and the damage to the home. The Dracut homeowner laid under his collapsed porch for over 30 minutes before his neighbor, Frank Gorman, heard his cries for help and came to the rescue.
Somebody yell, help, help.
Working from home Tuesday afternoon, Gorman had just opened the door to let his cat out when he heard the victim yelling.
Just as I was coming out, my wife was coming home from work, and now we heard you help, help again, and we ran over the hill here, and we noticed the deck was caved in, and we heard help, and sure enough, we ran down below, and our neighbor, John, was underneath the deck.
As Gorman's wife called 911, Gorman himself tried to help the homeowner, who was in agony with a major injury to his shoulder.
I wasn't actually sitting on him. It was like maybe 6 inches from the top of him, and nobody could go underneath there because the deck was just hanging there, and I could hear it going crack, crack, crack.
Firefighters were able to rescue the homeowner by sliding under the deck and pull him to safety. He was carried out on a stretcher and transported to the hospital.
If I wasn't home, or we weren't home, who knows how long he would have been there.
That's this week's report. For What's Happening Dracut, I'm Gordy Scott.
That's awesome, Gordy. Another great report.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank
You do good. You look like you enjoy doing that.
It's pretty fun.
You have something. It's like a different hobby now.
Yeah, right.
So, Phil, tell us, how did that thing collapse? How did that?
Well, I suppose it may sound ridiculous, but it certainly wasn't fastened properly.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem with decks. And as you know, probably 10, 15 years ago, there were multiple deck collapses in Dorchester and the Boston area. And that really reformed the building code quite a bit to address that. So now there are a number of factors that come into for the loading. There's gravity loads which want to pull it down. There's lateral loads that want to pull it side to side. Oftentimes, a lot of these decks aren't secured for lateral load. So as they're shifting back and forth, they're slowly working any of the anchors out of the structure, and then they finally just become loose. And there's a number of different factors that happen in there. I mean, as wood ages, it shrinks, and then the grafts around the fasteners loosens up. So it's an excellent idea for homeowners to get out there and check their decks supports at least once a year. You know, just look up.
Yeah.
If you see rust.
Isn't it great that a guy like Frank Gorman, who's a local guy, gets this little hero act going on? I mean, Gorman's been involved in a lot of things in town over the years. The mill we're in right now, he was the original owner of this mill, if you don't know that. Yeah, he's done a lot of construction in town and what have you, so he's quite familiar with stuff like that, right?
Frank has, to his credit, always been a dreamer, and to some degree that has bit him a few times too, getting caught, reaching out too far. But that's what dreamers do. They really reach out and try to do something, and he has done a lot for the community.
Very successful too. And did you know that he was a candidate for Senate one time? State Senate?
I did not know that.
Yeah, did you know that?
No.
A little bit of a trivia for Frank Gorman. He was a candidate for senator. Yes. So now we're going to go to our resident COVID expert. Well, he gets the numbers, right? So, Gordy, give us the COVID update, because there's a lot in the news about COVID.
Yes, there is. So I'm going to go through the numbers really quickly, and then we've got some good news about the vaccine that was just released today. So
exactly.
This is our COVID report for today, December 9th. You can see here tests. Now we're over 211 million nationwide, so that's pretty amazing. Remember how Trump was castigated for not having enough tests for the United States, and here we are with 211 million tests. In Massachusetts, we have just over 9 million, and in Dracut, we've done 27,000. That's almost enough to cover the entire population of Dracut. As we have just over 30,000 people, and we've done 27,000 tests. So next is cases. We now have 15.2 million confirmed cases in the U.S. Massachusetts, just over 250,000 cases. And this number just came out recently on Dracut. We're now up over 1,000 cases confirmed in Dracut, up to 1,125. So that's up over 500 from last show. And going to hospitalizations, so I've estimated there's no strict numbers for Dracut, so those are estimated numbers for 64 people. Massachusetts, there's just over 14,000 hospitalizations, and in the United States, 593 confirmed hospitalizations for COVID-19. So you can see we're going from over 200 million tests to 11 million people with COVID, and only out of those 11 million, or 15 million, people, there's less than 1 million that were hospitalized. Mm-hmm. Then we go to deaths. You can see we're still at 3 in Dracut, so that's good news. That number has not increased for several months. In Massachusetts, we're almost at 11,000 now. Last time we were here, we were just under 10,000, so that's almost increased by 1,000 in 3 weeks. And then the United States, we're at 286,000. And now here's the updated news that just came in pretty much today, right before we came on. FDA approval is expected to come tomorrow on both the Pfizer and the BioNTech vaccines. The nation's first doses are expected to ship the next day, which is Friday. And first Americans are likely to receive their vaccination starting on next Monday, which is December 14th. So that's great news. Mm-hmm. The UK, obviously, people have seen it in the news. They're already distributing these 2 vaccines. And there was today 2 reported allergic reactions to the vaccine. So
to the Pfizer?
Yeah, to the Pfizer vaccine. So they're looking into that, but they've done several thousands of.
So what were the reactions?
They're still looking into them. I'm not sure the details of those, but that was in the news right before we came on.
Of course.
And then Moderna's vaccine will go through the same approval next week, and it's expected to be approved on December 17th. So they're a week behind. And this just came out today, so if you haven't heard about this is news for most people. Governor Baker has ordered already just under 60,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine, and will be delivered beginning December 15th. Healthcare workers are the first to receive. Will be the first to receive these, and I have a chart on the next screen. These will be delivered to the 74 hospitals across 14 counties in Massachusetts. Then right after that, there's 40,000 more doses that are coming that are going to be allocated to nursing facilities, rest homes, and assisted living residences. And then a total of 300,000 vaccines are expected to be delivered to Massachusetts by the end of December. The next slide will show us where those are going. So we have order priority. You can see there clinical, non-clinical healthcare workers, then long-term care facilities, then police, fire, and emergency medical services, and then followed by that, congregate care settings, which is basically shelters, homeless people. Home-based healthcare workers are next, and then healthcare workers doing non-COVID facing care. So that's between now and the end of, kind of the middle of February, and then phase 2 comes. That's the first phase is the 300 I talked about. Then there's phase 2, which is another almost 2 million, 1.9 million vaccines. And those are going to go between February and April. So individuals with 2+ comorbidities, so that's like high blood pressure, asthma, things of that nature, obese,
and things of that nature.
Right. And then early education, K through 12, transit workers, grocery store workers, food and agriculture, sanitation, public works, and public health workers will be in phase 2. Adults over 65 will be in phase 2, John.
That's me.
And then individuals with 1 comorbidity will be after them. And then we go into phase 3, which will be happening in sometime in April-May timeframe. The vaccine will be then available to the general public.
Oh, okay. So that's a pretty aggressive schedule, huh, Phil?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the logistics of it, and I believe the Army quartermasters are working on it to get distribution with the efficiency of the Army distributing it. So.
And that was as a result of President Trump's warp speed.
That's correct.
And handing over the distribution of the vaccines through the military, correct?
That's correct.
Because they have the equipment and the ability to
They have the
it.
logistics. I mean, certainly Trump has had logistics, based on his business acumen, but...
And I know the Democrats are going to try to steal that too, that credit for that also. We have a lot of people watching here tonight on our Facebook page from across the whole spectrum here, from all over the state. And I just wanted to welcome them all, and you can all call in if you want and join.
Good friend of mine, the Glossos, are watching. So
oh, they are.
Hello to the Glossos.
There you go. Yeah. That's good. That's good. So 978-957-4243 if you want to join in the fun. Now, Gordy, I also heard today there was a report that ICUs in the northeast portion of Massachusetts are now at capacity.
Yep.
Have you heard that too?
Yes.
Yeah. So that had to happen over the last week or so.
But what gets me, John, is you bring up those stats, and you can see the numbers are all rising. Hospitalizations are going up. But remember back, almost 3 weeks ago now, maybe 4 weeks ago, Governor Baker required us to all be in quarantine, right? So we can't be out after 10 o'clock, can't go to restaurants, we can't do all these other things, but that was supposed to fix it, and guess where we are?
And it hasn't fixed it.
And it hasn't fixed it. So, I think this is a lot of phooey, if you ask me.
Yeah. It's going to go through a process. I think it's a peak and a valley thing, no matter what you do.
Right, and I'm friends with a lot of restaurant owners around the community here, especially here in Dracut, and it's really a shame that you can go get a tattoo, without a problem, but you can't go into a restaurant and sit down and eat.
So Phil,
that really bothers me.
Yeah. So Phil, we've got a lot of things going on in town, particularly the public library about a week ago announced that they were going to not be open to the public anymore, that they were going to be staffed, but they weren't going to allow the public in. And then we hear Town Hall did the same thing. What's going on with that?
Well, the library went to what they refer to as curbside. So if you needed a book or whatever, you could give them a call and they would service you curbside. And then I think, as you're saying, within 2 or 3 days later, the town hall is doing the same. So it's the long, cold winter now, and it's just a matter of essentially slowly shutting down, I think.
As Joe Biden said, the long, cold, dark winter. We're coming into a dark time here.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking before we started the show, and everybody's hoping that we get back to what normal was.
Right.
I personally think that is a year away, because if as you pointed out, the rollout of the vaccine takes us well into May or June to get everybody vaccinated. They're probably going to want.
Well, that's when it's available. That's not
when
even
it's
getting
available.
everyone vaccinated.
Right. So you you extrapolate that out, and okay, everybody's not vaccinated until September or October.
Maybe
they're
later,
going to want to keep us, quarantined somewhat until they know that the vaccine has taken hold. That brings us to a year from now.
Yeah. I have some people calling me today and over the last couple of days about who's going to get this, and they're saying, why am I'm 65, but I'm healthy, but I'm on the bottom of the list to get it? I said, because the most vulnerable is going to get it first, and there just isn't enough vaccine being made fast enough. And they have been producing it now for 6-8 months.
Right.
And it still takes time to build up that inventory. I mean, Moderna is going to have over 20 million, I believe, kits available once they come out, and I think Pfizer the same thing.
And I heard Johnson & Johnson, you only require one shot. So
one shot, but is Moderna's one shot also?
Is it? I'm not
I think
sure
it is,
about
I think it is, but I'm not sure. But, I'm not a resident expert
One
on
other
that.
thing I want to bring up about COVID before we close
Yeah.
the subject real quick. It's going to be interesting to see what companies do once the vaccine's available. Are the companies going to require employees to get the vaccine before they go back to work? That's going to be interesting, and it'll be interesting to see how people react to that.
Well, as you know, I coach hockey at St. John's Prep, and in order for us to be coaching, that was a condition of work that we had to be tested. So I was tested about a week ago.
No, but I'm saying when the
negative.
vaccine comes out,
Oh,
will you
will
be
they make
required
us-
to actually take the vaccine to be able to coach?
Probably, but that's okay. I would do it.
But some people are vehemently against taking vaccines.
Yeah,
so-
because they're blinded by hate.
Yes.
They're blinded by hate, saying
That's
they
gonna
think
be
that-
interesting.
They think that Trump was in the laboratory actually mixing the vaccine, and that's pretty ridiculous if you ask me. Hey, there are a couple rumors out there that I got over the last 24 hours that there are a few town employees that have come down with COVID, and particularly in our first responder departments. So I want to relay that they may have COVID, but they're not doing badly. They're gonna make it through. But we don't want to see anybody get it. But just to let you know that there's no rash outbreak within either one of the departments. So I want to dispel those kind of rumors. But you're going to hear that a firefighter might got it, or a police officer may have gotten it. And I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised that teachers or paraprofessionals have had it somewhere along the line.
Likewise, when they catch it, that they isolate themselves too. So
Absolutely.
they're very conscientious.
Absolutely.
Of the.
So let's move on to the next subject. There's been a lot of talk over the last few days about a story that ended up in the local newspaper about a secret squirrel meeting of the Board of Selectmen behind closed doors called executive session. And the bottom line was that the discussion in that particular session leaked out to the newspapers. What do you think about that, Phil?
Isn't an executive session supposed to be top secret?
Confidential and top secret, but they never are they?
No, they never are.
So I guess the paper reported that because there was a lot of scuttlebutt about what the subject matter was in that executive session that was being held after they had really suspended their meetings for the holiday season through Thanksgiving, correct? So the speculation was swirling all around about contracts and negotiations for lawsuits and things of that nature, but it comes out that it was all about Chief Bartlett. And Chief Bartlett, the chief of the police department, supposedly wants to come back to work. And there's kind of a dispute going on, I guess, and the scuttlebutt is that they're not happy with him. Have you heard that?
Is that the current situation? Is he still on the payroll?
He's still out. He's still out on an IA.
He's on paid administrative leave now. He's been cleared to go back to work
for an injury that occurred.
So are they paying for 2 police chiefs at this point?
Yes. So Phil, give us a little background of what you recall about how the Chief Bartlett thing happened.
So Chief Bartlett was fueling his vehicle over at the DPW garage where they do have some gasoline pumps. And it was, to be honest, I forget what month, but it was icy. And he slipped on some black ice, twisted himself, kind of fell back into his vehicle and injured his shoulder.
Wow. So, and he's been out since, and he wants to come back, and who knows if he will.
We should probably clear that up too. He didn't go out on sick leave until the the Board of Selectmen essentially wanted more information on voting on an extension of his contract, I believe.
Exactly.
And so all of a sudden, when they wanted more information, he goes out on injury.
That makes you, that's one of those things to say that you look at it, the mirror and you say, makes you think, what's going on there? So is Chief Chappett in a bad position because we're actually got two chiefs?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I like Chief Chappett.
Oh, we all
Yeah.
do, absolutely. We all do.
So, I don't know much about
I don't
Mr.
have any
Bartlett,
axe
so-
to grind with Bartlett either. I
Right.
think he's done a good job. I mean, people won't agree with that, but administratively, when you do the job, you're gonna upset some apple carts.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, he came in with the plan to get the force certified through the federal government and stuff like that, and it looked like a good program. He had experience with it. I mean, great idea to have your organization certified.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
Exactly. So let's move on to the next subject. We have a couple other things going on. You reported in your breaking news about some break-ins and some fires in barrels and things of that nature. But there's been also an increase in break-ins of automobiles. And not so much break-ins, but people who leave their cars unlocked. What is going on with that? What's going on with that?
Just lock your door.
You don't leave your car unlocked, right? I mean, you invite anybody to come
It's
in
been
and crawl
hap-
in and be in the back seat of your car the next day,
Right.
maybe naked, right?
It's been happening in my neighborhood. People, I think it's just, I don't know if it's kids or whatever, they just go through and
They rifle
open
through
your
everything.
door and see what they can take and
Yeah,
sell.
they're right. They walk by a car and they check the door handles. It's almost akin to you walking. We'll know what it is. You walk past a payphone and you look at the change slot.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a
exactly.
Pepsi machine, a Coke machine,
Right,
you put
right.
your finger in this.
There's also people out there that should realize that you're getting an increase in a lot of packages being delivered in your neighborhood and to your house. So be aware of that. Get those packages off the front steps.
Get a Ring doorbell.
Because I have a Ring doorbell and it works perfectly. And
Yep.
Well, as a matter of fact, a lot of these delivery services have apps that you get notified when the package
Yes.
is delivered.
Right.
So let's move on to the next subject. Let's talk about Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Jesse Fossier. What's going on with him? There's rumors all over town that he's moving out of town, but we can't confirm that. But we can confirm is that there is a for sale sign on his house. Have you seen that?
I saw that on Facebook, and I saw that he's selling his house. I'm not sure what you do. Maybe you're downsizing. It could be anything, right?
How about upsizing?
Or
Maybe your
upsizing,
family's
right.
gotten a little bigger and you need to. Phil, what do you think? Do you think he's had enough of the political pressure in town? And is the town manager debacle getting to him?
He's got what two more years on his term?
Something like that. Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows where that's going to go?
Certainly, the town manager at the beginning of the year, March through June, I think, put a lot of pressure on him.
Sure. So there isn't really a lot politically going on
Maybe
in
he'll
town.
call in and tell us what's going on.
Well, that would be good.
Yeah.
We welcome them to come on.
Then we
could
can
come on the
stop
show.
all the rumors. We can
We could
squash
stop
them
the
all on
rumors
theirs.
right away. And hey, look, I've had political differences with Jesse, but I don't think he's a bad guy. I
No.
just think that he makes bad decisions, and we've all done that. So who cares, right?
Right.
Unless it's affecting your pocketbook. It's certainly some of the decisions that he's made has not been politically good for the town over the last year or so, and particularly I know he's lost some friends over it, and we all lose friends when we make decisions. So welcome to the club, right?
Yep.
Right. So the other thing is we're trying to find out what's going on with the town hall annex. There's supposed to be some veterans housing going in there, and that's been bogged down. You've had that thing. Can you do a little research on that for the next time we meet?
Yeah, I'm trying to get a hold of the ABC Corporation over in Lowell to see if
What are they doing?
on their website it does discuss it. I have done some research on it. It does discuss it, and they're still looking for more money.
Okay.
I don't know what in the world after the $2.9+ million that
From the
Dracut.
town.
Yeah, I don't know why they need more money. I mean, you can build a nice mansion for $2.9 million. So I don't know. I don't get it, but
So, Phil, also Greenmont Ave. We know that is a project that you and I and others in our circle of friends, we're passionate about getting housing in there for senior housing. And we're not happy with the kind of senior housing that might be going in there, but at least it's housing for seniors.
Right, it's considered affordable housing, so there's affordable, which gets you in a certain range of median income, and then there's low income, which is the bottom third, if you want.
But we were always,
so there's a mix.
But we were always after the lower third, the one that was most needy, the 30%ers that we call, the ones that can afford or barely afford.
And when it was being pitched to be done through the housing authority, that I believe was the true focus, was all low income. When it no longer became part of the housing authority, I think it had no other option but to go low income.
And that's an unfortunate thing, because that's something that happened during the Patrick administration here and the Obama administration. They changed the focus of housing to partnerships with other housing developers, and not make it a public project, make it a private public a project that ends up being, it has to be affordable for the developer too.
Well, and not only that, but they started drifting away from senior housing.
Exactly.
So everything they were doing was really focused on multifamily.
And so what is the thinking when your population is growing older faster? I mean, that group of 65 and older is getting bigger.
Yeah, so you really have to look at the demographics of the community that you're working within, because there are certainly communities that have a larger senior population, and certainly there are communities that have larger multifamily, young families moving in, and you have to be able to be pretty flexible on who you're helping.
So one more thing I want to start thinking about is it's already December 9th, and before you know it, it's going to be January 1st, and you're going to be looking right down the barrel of May, where we have a town election on the horizon. Who's up for re-election here, or who's up for election? What seats are?
It's the single seat this year.
There's a single selectman seat.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because that particular individual who's in that seat has been attacking certain individuals that he thinks is a threat to him, right? And
Yep.
those individuals are you and me and others that he's attacking almost on a weekly basis when he was attending meetings. Of course, he didn't attend a meeting during November because he was too busy doing other things, I'm sure, that are more important to him in Maine or New Hampshire, wherever it is.
More important than Dracut, anyway.
More important than Dracut at that point. But the only other thing we have about, boy, where did the time go? We got about 5 minutes left to go in the show, but I wanted to talk a little bit about a petulant child. You know what a petulant child does when he's in an empty room and he's screaming and he's pounding on the floor and nobody's paying attention to him?
Throws a temper tantrum.
There's a temper tantrum, right. So what does the petulant child do? He continues to do more.
Well, he does that, and then he looks around to see who's listening, and if nobody's, he'll do it again.
And who's watching.
And then he'll look around again.
Right.
I mean, we've all raised children.
Right. So, we're talking about a former friend who has thrown all of his friends right under the bus in a number of ways. And, not by anything that we're ashamed of, by any stretch of the imagination. But I wanted to just talk about a couple of things that are being said out there. One of the things that's being said is that we were thrown off of a show. Did you hear that? That we were pushed off of his show. And that's furthest from the truth. We were not pushed off of any show. We left that show.
Right.
We left that show. We did not.
Hey,
We were
hi
not.
guys.
Hello?
Oh, hello?
Who is that? So, it's just that he needs
No,
attention.
we do have a caller, don't we?
Do we have a caller?
Yes, you do.
Who is it?
Mr.
George
Dristolaris.
Dristolaris. How are you?
I'm great.
So, what's on your mind tonight?
Well, when you came up to talk about Mr. Irrelevant, I thought this is the time I should call. Apparently, I was a victim of being a subject of the column.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, because I guess my interest in being a member of the board of directors for the school committee.
Oh, yes.
And I just wanted to say publicly that that's absolutely incorrect and not true. So I really don't know what else to say, but I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk to you guys.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I'm glad you called in because you're right. Mr. Irrelevant, he just needs to throw more lies out all the time just to make sure that he can maybe be relevant. But, his time is over.
And what else did he bring up about myself and my wife? That I'm jealous of him? I'm jealous of Tammy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, God, I mean, the man has no control over his own personal life because he's controlled by other sources, but he tries to control everybody outside on the other side of the fence. Just a little petulant little baby, Mr. Irrelevant child, and he'll continue to do that. I mean, he drops dimes to people and.
John, my only thing that I'm thinking is, don't go away mad, Brian.
Just go away.
Just go away.
Just go. Yeah.
That's a great saying.
You don't know how many people have told me, John, I don't know why it took you so long to realize what the man was like.
And I was one of them, wasn't I?
You were. You told me that a lot. And there were other people that said it to me too. And, like I said to somebody this afternoon, I'm a show me guy, and I guess friendships mean a lot to me, and I sometimes hold on to friendships too long and loyalty too long. So, but that's over. That ship has sailed. We'll never sail again, and I'm much happier for it. Trust me. But thank you very much for calling in. You have anything else you want to jump in on?
Nah.
Okay, my friend.
You guys have covered it, and I actually can't even comment on what Gordy's saying. As you know, I signed a confidential agreement.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you work for
non-compete and all that stuff. So I don't.
Sure.
I can't say what anybody's doing.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what happens in life, right? There are certain things in life.
You have to.
You have to have some kind of confidentiality.
I work for a corporation,
Yeah, you do. Great to talk to you, George.
All right, see you guys.
Thanks for calling in. So, Phil, anything else happening that we need to talk about?
Well, within
we're down a minute now. Yeah.
Well,
there's plenty of stuff still going on, but
go ahead.
Remember, we have the assessors that our homes are being reassessed this year. So
yes,
our taxes are about to go up during COVID times. So.
Let's put that on the agenda for the next show. Our next show is going to be in 2 weeks, and hopefully we're going to have announce a winner for our Christmas lighting, Christmas decorations and lightings contest. It's
Real
a
quick,
small
can
contest.
you tell there's prizes, aren't there?
Yeah, we're going to have some prizes. We're going to do a couple of gift certificates to local restaurants to try to help out a couple of restaurants.
Oh, there you go.
Something, just a small thing, but just to do a little bit of thing to get people interested in the show and interested in this holiday season, and just to try to help things along. I will say that if you can, make a donation to our Dracut local food pantry. I did last Saturday. I drove up. It was very easy. I gave a cash donation, and there's definitely more need at this particular time. And make sure you go on our Facebook page and like us. And Gordy, it's time to close out this show.
All right. Folks, we thank you for watching our show as always. If you have show ideas for us, drop us a note on our Facebook page, What's Happening Dracut. Like it, as John said, like us, and we'll take your ideas and we'll hopefully get report back to you on the show. So when it's Wednesday night and it's 7 o'clock, it's What's Happening Dracut.
Good night, Dracut.